What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Youth Ministry Podcast. My name is Karsten Williams, one of the co-hosts, and I'm here with the old man himself.
Jared Furs. I've been listening to it back again. We're doing this for 1 year now, which is crazy.
Wow.
We've actually been filming for like 2 years.
So,
We've been releasing slowly but surely. This is what's tough, but hopefully it gets better. We are self-ran, self-promoted, self-everything, but we do have listeners, man. That's what I love. Is we have a few people have been reaching out, asking questions, which I love, and that's why today and even next episode is based off questions you had. But hopefully we're gonna get better because we have our first sponsor.
we do have our first sponsor. It is called.
I don't know if it's technically a sponsor, but
Well, we bought one of your middle schoolers'
one of my middle schoolers who honestly invests in anything he does. His name's Wyatt. Follow him on Instagram. But he has an energy drink he's made. Tell us about it, Karsten.
It's called Flavor Fusion, and it is the healthiest version of an energy drink you can find, based off stevia, better than Red Bull. He says a 13-year-old is going to take down a Red Bull.
I love it.
So it's one of the greatest. His first one that he's opened up is mango. So we're going to try really quick.
Yeah.
After this.
I think it's just his flavor, but it's just like his flavor, and it just tastes like mango. But it's good. Stevia based. It's healthy. Nodes of mango. It's good. I don't know if we promoted this right, but it doesn't really feel like a sponsor. Maybe more feels like bribery, but we're in it.
We're in it.
Here we go. We also plug the Trust God Bro hat. There we go.
Yes. Yeah. Guy.
My guy, man. What? My guy? What a guy. Brandon, he's the stat. Have you met him yet?
No, I just heard somebody say his name once.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh, it's Brandon.
Yeah, he's around here, partners with us, our Friendsgiving. It was sick, man. But we are starting today because I got a question from a youth pastor. I was kind of stumbling my words there. And he was like, I really wish you would do an episode because when I came into, he happened to work here at Bayside, but I also had a buddy where he's like, hey, I just got hired at a new church. I don't know where to go, what to do.
Yeah.
I don't have time to read Doug Fields, first 2 years of youth ministry. But even then, it's like Doug Fields' first 2 years of youth ministry, you should read it. And that should be like something that comes off your bookshelf more than every 2 years, because some of those things are so good and every time you transition. But here's what we wish we would have done. Here's what we wish we would have known when we started at our new churches or transitioned to a new church. But just what I wish I knew. Hey, we're starting from blank. Karsten, you're showing up. What's the things you wish you would have known?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely don't. I try to read a ton of books at the beginning, and it's like, what's the point? Like, the books are really good, but if you're just reading books so that, like, you got to put it in practice.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that I would say for anyone who's new in youth ministry, maybe new in ministry in general, whether you're a youth pastor or a small group leader, is the first thing I wrote down is that the enemy will literally do everything he can to convince you that you're in the wrong role.
Oh, I love that.
100% of the time. Like, when I was talking about to a couple different churches about where I was going to work, I sat down with a mentor, and I was asked to come plant a church with Bayside and plant the youth ministry there. And I was going to take the job, but I started questioning it because I felt like I wasn't relational enough, which is probably the biggest lie. Like, I'm an extrovert. I thrive off of spending time with people. I'm constantly telling my wife, we got to have people over. I want to have these people over. What about these people? And I sit down with a mentor, and he's like, are you an idiot? You might as well have slapped me in the face. Cause like, how is that possible? How is it possible that you actually convinced yourself that you're not relational, that you shouldn't be a part of this church plan? It doesn't make any sense. And the enemy is just planting this lie in my mind that I shouldn't be in it. And every single night, we'd end our high school ministry on Tuesday nights, middle school ministry on Wednesday nights. I kid you not, for probably the first 3 months, I'd call my parents after every single night and go, I wasn't meant for this. I'm doing a terrible job. I'm like crying with my parents on the phone. And what I didn't realize until a few months in is that what the enemy was trying to do is to convince me that I shouldn't be a part of it.
Yeah.
When the reality is God has such a great plan for me in ministry, as he does for every single person who's listening.
Yeah.
And the enemy will do everything he can. So that's my first thing that I wish I knew.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe even the fix to that is you have to have people in your life who you are bouncing these lies off of. meet with somebody and say, this is what's coming to my mind. This is what's discouraging me. You think this is true about me? And if they
Yeah.
say yes, you could talk about it, but odds are is the lie is from the enemy. And,
Correct.
Ray, pastor around here, Ray Johnson, he always says that if you're discouraged in ministry, it's actually, I guess I don't know the quote that he says, but he says something about discouragement in ministry. He says, if you're discouraged in ministry, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you.
He always says too, if he can't discourage you, he's going to make you busy, right? And I think the tough part is because Doug Fields always talked about this, where he's like, every time I drove back by McDonald's, I consider working there. You know what I mean? And it's like, don't make big decisions on Monday. All those things, because like the devil is here to steal, kill, and destroy, and there's nothing that he wants to do than remove you from ministry, make that transition rough, whatever it may be, because it's so true. I like how you went spiritual with it. Mine are like way more like dumb compared to that.
I took one of each.
But I love that, because it's like he's going to try to tell you you're in the wrong spot. He's going to try to tell you the wrong person. He's going to try to tell you that you're not qualified, you're not equipped, you're not. And there's an aspect of it where you have to believe like that you are called and equipped and appointed and anointed for this time. But there also needs to be a humility aspect where it's like where everything good that happens in your ministry is because of God. And just because things may not be going good numerically, leader-wise, whatever, it doesn't mean that God's not in it with as well.
That you're not called doesn't mean
Correct.
stuff. If you're in some sort of dry season in your ministry, I was just sitting down with the middle school pastor at our campus today, and we were talking about right now our ministry is going really well. Middle school and high school are going really well, and we're like, let's write down what is going good, what are we doing right, what's going on in the season, what's going on in students' lives, so that when we have a dry season, we can go back and look like, okay, God was moving before. He's still moving right now. These are the reminders of things that we need to keep doing and stuff like that. So yeah, first thing I wish I knew, the enemy is going to try and convince you that you're not the right person for the job, when odds are you probably are. So should I do my second one?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Second one. Second one is a little bit more practical. I wish I took a little bit more time to build into my student leaders. I asked the lead pastor of our church, I said, what's the most important thing I could do? I'm planting one of these campuses, youth ministry. What is the most important thing I could do? And he said, no particular order. He said, student leadership, small group leaders, really adult leaders in general, and your midweek program. Those three things, if you can master those three things, you'll be satisfied with the ministry that you're taking care of. And one that I didn't do well at the start was taking care of student leaders. I basically was like, hey, everybody in youth group, you guys can all be student leaders. Let's all hop in, which for a part of time kind of gives you a bad rap, because if you just let everybody in your student leadership program, you don't necessarily know how they're living. And so I started this whole thing, and it was like everybody's an insider, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But your student leaders, the people who are going to be leading spiritually other students, it can't just be everyone. It is a program that you need to take some time to cultivate. And I wish I did that better at the beginning, because I think it would pay dividends for how student leadership is right now. So I'm kind of having to restructure and reshape the student leadership mistakes that I made in the past now, 2 years later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And start bottom up too when it comes to developing student leaders. You want that culture to translate over years. But it is one of those things where it's tough, because everything you want to do in youth ministry is so inclusive and make everyone feel like an insider. But at some point, you have to like develop your leaders. You have to, because it's like you want them to grow. You want them to take aspects of the ministry. You want them to feel proactive and ownership. And if you don't have a good student leadership like development program, you're not going to have a senior class.
Yeah.
Because they're going to check out if they don't feel like they're owning aspects of the ministry. So that's gold. Yeah. Absolutely. And then you said you had two.
Yes.
And then two.
Yeah, two things that I wish I knew. And then I also wrote down two things that I think when I look back on the last 2 years, I think I did right in the beginning. The first one was I did things good, but on accident, right? But I realized the reason that things happened well on accident is because I just kept thinking, what is the next right thing I can do?
Yeah.
What's the next right thing I can do? Should I go sit at lunch with somebody from church?
Yeah.
Sure. Should I bring these people who I want them to be small group leaders some lunch? Sure. Should I try and get on campus? Sure. And I tried to do the next right thing and spend time with as many people as possible. And when that was my mindset, I think that it made a big difference in my decision making. I'm just like, what's the next right thing? What's the next right thing? And make a couple mistakes, got to take a couple steps back. But that a phrase that I love that we hear a lot is like, go get a speeding ticket.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
go as fast as you
Yep.
can. Go get a speeding ticket and wait for which basically means run as hard as you can until somebody says you need to slow down.
Yeah.
And so that was the goal. It's like, just got to go get a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
So that's the first one.
Yeah, I love that because it's like I'm a big list guy, so it's like get a to-do list and just knock 3 things off your to-do list.
Yep.
Doing 3 things every day at your work should not be difficult, but think of like, hey, as you go into the next day, what are the 3 most important things I could do today? Knock those 3 things off.
Yep.
Just be proactive. Don't waste a day. Don't waste a work day. Be proactive. Hey, I got to a day. I really don't have anything to knock on my checklist. I'm gonna start planning for the future. Hey,
Yeah.
how do I build into this? I love that. Just be proactive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then one other thing that I would do again if I was restarting another youth ministry, if I'm new into ministry, I would say go to every single thing that you could possibly go to. Go to, I was going and feeding the football team,
Yeah.
right? Like figuring out what kind of money can we get together from the church, or even just end up spending your own money and buy some food for the football team. You go feed the basketball team, go to the jazz recitals, I went to like 3 different 7th grade middle school plays. Because what that does is when you go to everything you possibly can in the area, it tells people at the church that, oh, this guy's interested in my students' lives. He's interested in the lives of the people in this community. And it shows people who don't go to church that there's somebody who's clearly supporting, and that supportive person is from the church. So
Correct.
it's when you do everything you can to get into the community, to go to every possible event, every sporting event, every recital. You can go to a chess tournament if you want, like all these different things. If you can do that, you gain trust from people in the community, you gain trust from students, and I think even most importantly, you gain trust with parents.
Absolutely.
As somebody who cares a lot about their students.
Yeah, real youth ministry starts past the front door. It's like once you get past that front door into their house, into their life, into their day-to-day, then real ministry can begin. If every day and every week you interact with a kid and it's just on a Sunday and a Wednesday or whatever your midweek programming is, that's not real youth ministry in the sense of like we want to actually be their pastors and be in their lives. And when something goes wrong, it's like we want to be, or that small group leader to be the one they reach out to or do that. So I think that's so good. Go to as much as you can. Don't burn yourself out. We're not saying like go get speeding tickets and go burn yourself out. No. We're saying be proactive, especially in the beginning. But take a pause on the programming and focus on the relational equity. Like relational equity is king.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing. When you're starting new, is relational equity and leverage is everything. And that's one of mine that I have, and we'll get there. My first thing is like if I'm brand new and I'm starting out, what I've learned from mistakes is this. Don't change, just challenge. Don't change, just challenge. I remember I became an intern at a church and worked my way up through the ministry where I became the youth pastor. And the first day I was on the job, I made a bunch of changes. And it's not like I'm new to staff. I was the intern in this ministry. I was the youth pastor assistant. And then when I became the youth pastor and my boss moved up and became like over students, and now I'm the youth guy and I started changing things, he's like, well, why didn't you change these things when you were on my team? And it just began to like put cracks in the foundation.
Right.
I got asked to go help plant this church, and I showed up 4 months after everyone else got it going. Show up 4 months later, and they had youth night, they had middle school, high school together, and they had young adults on this night. And they're like, just do whatever you want, make it happen, change it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this, change it. So I made high school Tuesday, middle school Wednesday, young adults Thursday. 3 separate nights of the week. Young adults can be running by this, but then that way I can have people serving and attending. I have high school and young adults serving in middle school, young adults serving in high school. And then 2 weeks into it, they took young adults from me. We're like, hey, we're not going to have you oversee young adults. We're going to have this guy oversee it. They moved that back to high school night, which I thought was so weird. And then it's like, so I'm like, right off the bat, like people are going to tell you, it's yours, change it, do whatever. Don't change anything. Wait 6 months to a year, even if you're a part of a church plant, well, no matter what it is, just challenge and ask questions about everything.
Yeah.
Why do we do summer camp this way? Why do we do this? Go out with small group leaders and learn from them. That's what you want to do. You want to ask and challenge everything. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? Why is it this way? Why do we do this? Why do we do small groups? Why do we structure? Just get to know. 6 months. Let them kind of run the play out. Let them do what they do. Just let who you are is going to naturally begin to drip, and we'll talk about that in a second, into the ministry. But don't come out and be like, hey, we're done doing summer camp here. We're going to summer camp here. Like, no. Don't. Figure out what the golden calves are. Ask questions.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta get to know the church, get to know the game, get to know the people. Because if you go into I have a friend who went and he started being a youth pastor at a church, and he got there, did the same thing, started changing stuff, and he lost every single small group leader that was there.
Yeah.
And it's like when you start changing, he's like, "What in the world is going on?" He realized he's making too many changes.
Yeah.
You have no idea who you are. You have
Yeah.
to get to know the people. Have to get to know like who's going to be your people.
Mhm.
It's you got to get to know the game first. So
And that's
like
number 2 is leverage and learn. Leverage and learn. You gotta focus on getting leverage within the church. We talked about this with church politics a little bit ago with Kevin Thompson, now about a year ago with Kevin Thompson. And you gotta learn the culture. You gotta learn the culture of the church. You gotta learn the culture of your small group leaders. Yes, some of your small group leaders will and should go, but some of them should stay. But you just gotta learn who they are. You gotta start loving them. You gotta earn relational equity with them.
Mhm.
Like if I was to show up at a church, my day one thing is I'm gonna be like, who are the most influential people in this youth ministry, and who are the most
Yeah.
influential people in this church? And my goal is to get coffee or lunch with them sometime that week and just ask them a million questions about them and their story and what they love about the youth ministry. Not what's wrong, what they love. That way I can learn on what's going well. I'm going to find some key parents. I'm going to ask the key parents, hey, what are your kids doing? What do they love? What do they dislike? I'm just going to ask a million questions because I really want to build relational equity with my leaders and understand why we've done things. I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to learn about the church politics. I'm going to learn about the church things, the who's the real, like, maker and shakers of this church.
Right, right.
You
Who do you
got to
have
learn.
to ask? Who do you got? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like it's so funny because like you'll show up at a church and you'll be like, oh, I have to like ask the senior pastor to do this. No, it's actually this random volunteer lady over here that really runs the church.
Right.
And it's like, you don't want to tick her off or get her upset. Or it's like, hey, how do I make this facility work? Or, hey, I messed up and did this. Who are the real people that are in the DNA of this church? Oh, this church has been going for 200 years. And this is the family line that started it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to get to know them and genuinely like learn to love them and build relational equity. It's not leverage in the sense of like I'm manipulating to scheme to change things. No, no, no. It's you need leverage because when you do have to make a good change, your hope is that they know your heart enough
Yeah.
that they think the best intentions about you.
Yeah. So if you could, I mean, it depends on how many people you have staff when you step into a
Mhm.
role, but if you could get together with every single person on staff, and honestly, I know it takes a little bit out of your own pocket, pay for lunch or coffee with them out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
So it shows some like equity that you have in the conversation, you have in the relationship, and get to know them. Even if it's a 15-minute walk or it's your whatever it is, get to know every single person on staff for that same reason, because then you gain some trust. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would say the last thing is culture over everything. The culture you're trying to implement and build is probably the most important thing that you could implement immediately. Like I would not change a program. I would not change the time. I would not change anything other than culture because there's things that I just don't allow. There's things that I I will remove unhealth quickly. I will figure out like if multiple leaders are like, hey, this person's unhealthy, that's probably who I'm going to ask to step down right away.
yeah.
If I see a leader or I see a student interaction or I see something that is not a part of the culture or the mission and vision that I believe that God's calling us to do, I'm going to speak into it quickly
Yeah.
because culture is king. And if the culture is bad, and most likely it's not going to be the best because the other dude or gal left, then you got to begin to really focus on the culture, focus on the culture of the staff, focus on the culture of the student volunteers, focus on the culture of the students, the student leaders. What is that culture? And begin to and just drip and infiltrate into that culture what you want and what you think God wants for this ministry. Oh, nothing to add there?
No, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking. I'm in my mind. I was like, I was thinking about what's the tagline we say at the end, and what's the tagline we say at the end. I was making sure I had it in my mind,
Oh,
and then I was gonna look down, and then I started thinking about. I was zoning out, and then you looked at me. I was like, oh crap, he's looking at me. So
yeah.
so I zoned out for a second. My bad.
You're good. But that's the big things. And those are our hopes. Like if you're jumping into a church, you're jumping into a church right away, man. This is what we hope for you to really take and apply. Yes, be readers. Yeah, read First to Use of Youth Ministry. Read Purpose Driven Youth Ministry. Read Middle School Ministry by Mark O. Read
Oh, yeah,
like
that's the longest book.
it is the longest book. The dude is so like analytical and in the like I've met him a few times and it makes sense when you meet him. You're like, yeah, this book is you. But like read books on youth ministry, watch podcasts, watch videos, watch things like glean as much as you can, but really focus on like I think Carson, number one is getting in God's word and understanding that you are anointed and called, and that's why God has you here. But also don't let things discourage you and really lean on your leaders, your volunteers, and take it slow. The thing that sucks the most about youth pastors is the shelf life. I know the statistics were all really wrong. It's not really 18 months. It's more like 3 years, but that's sad. Like I want youth pastors. I'm going on 6 years now here.
Right.
You're 3. I don't know if
Going on 3 years.
3, yeah, including internship. You've been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we want is longevity in youth ministry. But it's those first couple years are so formative to your reputation, to the chips you're going to earn or lose.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't ever gain these back, but move slow when it comes to changes, but move quickly when it comes to building equity and relationships.
Yeah, if you're in a church for, a year or two and you have some not burned bridges, but some broken bridges, you don't know what's going on, the answer is not to leave, and it's definitely not to leave abruptly. There's probably something more biblical like reconciliation.
Absolutely.
You need to figure out.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet that the church would be better off not if you left, but if you built those bonds back together, if you brought some unity to some of the relationships and you stuck around. That would probably say a lot more about who you are and about the ministry that you're building if you sought after that unity instead of just leaving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys tune in next week because we're going to talk about more culture and what
Yep.
that looks like. 'Cause I know it's a vague term, but I hope this really helps you get your groundwork and get you going because when one of us get better,
We all get
we all get better.
all right, y'all. Peace.